And that, guys, if that is not the world's most beautiful baby, that is certainly the world's happiest baby. And no, that is not my son, that is me. And it took me a long time before I realized the only person on the planet that could make me smile like that was her. My mom, Betty Jean. Man, those eyes and that smile, they could either turn you into a pillar of salt or melt your heart. Sony spent $100 million on marketing the film alone. $100 million. And every place we went around the world, I talked about my mother. I talked about the wit, the wisdom, and the love, the lessons that she taught me. Every place that I went. And I've been asked many, many times, whatever made you think that you could accomplish half of what you have in your life? And the truth of the matter is, every time somebody asks me that, I can hear my mother's voice saying, son, I've had to do so much with so little for so long that I can do anything with nothing. And it wasn't just something catchy that she would say. I saw her do it. I'm also often asked, how do you choose between doing what's practical and what you're passionate about? My answer is not popular. My answer is, sometimes you got to do both. And doing both can include doing what you got to do before you can do what you want to do. The film has often been referred to as the ultimate rags to riches story, but it was never about money for me. The film was a love story of a man who was committed to giving his child something that he never had, which was a father, and that's priceless. I have to share a few stories with you about my mom and a few other people who were instrumental in helping me to create my spiritual genetics. I'll never forget this one day being a young man, and I'm about to watch a college basketball game. And the announcer is hyping this game, and he's talking about all the money some of these players were going to make simply because they could run and jump and catch a ball. And I remember saying to the television, talking to no one, I said, wow, man, one day that guy's gonna make $1 million. Thank God my mother heard me say it. Mama heard me say it, and she said, son, you know what? If you want to, one day you can make $1 million. And until she said those words, the words had never entered my mind. But after she said them, the words never left my mind. That became part of my spiritual genetics. And you know what? I keep talking about this spiritual genetics, and let me tell you something. It's got nothing to do with biology, chemistry, or physics. It's got nothing to do with DNA, pigmentation, or your blood type. It cannot be analyzed, measured, nor quantified. It is totally spiritual. And my mother, who had so many of her own dreams denied, deferred, or destroyed, she still found within herself to say to me, you know what, son? You can do or be anything that you want to do or be. Where did she get that from? There's a scene in the film that gets to what I'd like to share with you. The scene in the movie, as you saw it ultimately, was not in the original script. In the original script, when the little boy throws up that basketball and says, I'm going pro, our screenwriter, Steve Conrad, had a very dark, dim view of the world. And when that little boy throws up the ball and says, I'm going pro, the father says, forget it. It will never happen. I couldn't do it, so that means that you can't do it. I waited until we were going to film that scene that day, and I went up to Will Smith and I said, you can't tell that to that little boy, because that's not what my mother told me. I was told that you could do or be anything. We argued about it for 30 minutes. Me, Will Smith, our director, Gabriel Muccino, and one of the producers. The producer's position was, well, the father's got to keep it real with the son. My position was, man, you live in Hollywood. What you know about keeping it real? But after 30 minutes, it was Will Smith that says, you know what? Chris is right. And we tore up the script on the spot, and this was the result.
Hey. Don't ever let somebody tell you you can't do something. Not even me. All right? You got a dream, you got to protect it. People can't do something themselves. They want to tell you you can't do it. You want something, go get it. Period.
Wow. Again, that came from my mom. It was like she was on the set writing this, right? She was on the set writing this movie, man. And you know what? Now see, I talked about this a little bit earlier to some folks earlier, and I'll share with you. Man, my mother telling me that, and me believing it, I made up my mind, my first ambition in life, I made up my mind I was going to become Miles Davis. Mama said I could be anybody, I chose Miles. I studied music theory, I played trumpet for 9 years. I got pretty good at it. And when I said I wanted to become Miles Davis, man, I had it bad. I had it so bad that people would ask me as a little boy, what you gonna be when you grow up? I had it so bad, I started talking like Miles, and I'd tell them, I'm gonna be Miles Davis. Thank God, again, my mother heard me say something. Mama heard me say it. She said, son, we need to talk. We sat down at the kitchen table and she explained to me, she says, baby, you can't be Miles Davis. Ain't but one, and he got that job. And when your mom put it to you like that, you got to feel that. And I had to look at the facts. The facts were, at 18 years of age, Miles Davis was in New York City playing with Quincy Jones and Dizzy Gillespie. At the same age, I was playing with some boys named Pookie and Ray Ray. We were good, but it wasn't going to happen. But the point is, another touch point in my spiritual genetics. I made up my mind as a young guy that I am going to become world class at whatever I do with my life. I'm going to become world class at it. I'm not just going to become good at it. I want to become world class at it. I just had to find my button. And I talk about that in my second book, Start Where You Are, Finding Your Button. I had to find that one thing that turned me on as much as the music did. And the very first time that I walked into a big-time Wall Street trading room, I knew, whoa, man, this is it.